From the world headquarters of Fox News, it's The Kelly File with Megyn Kelly.
Well, President Obama receiving an angry message from one police group this Labor Day weekend. The New England Police Union urging its members to boycott the president's Labor Day address in Boston, blasting the Obama administration for what it says is utter silence when it comes to the anti-police rhetoric and even attacks we have been seeing now for months. Joining me now, Jerry Flynn, the executive director of the New England Police Benevolent Association. Great to see you, Jerry. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. So you said earlier you believe that President Obama actually has blood on his hands. Why?
First of all, Megyn, thank you very much for having me. And we've been dealing in the last month. We had 8 police officers killed in the line of duty in this country. And we have heard nothing from the president. This is a man who, in 2004, went from an unknown state senator to the White House based on his epic speech at the DNC convention. And quite frankly, there's probably no better prolific speaker than the President of the United States himself. Yet, when it's been time to talk about the racial divide that is in this country, he has done nothing. And as far as we're concerned, these are hate crimes against police officers. These are members of his administration. We can go back to his first term in office. I was invited along with 30 other people.
You actually went to, my apologies, I know you actually went to the White House. You met a while back with Vice President Biden, and he made you a promise. What was it?
Well, let me just say this. Joe Biden was not only the Thomas Jefferson of the crime bill, which was signed into law by President Clinton in 1994, but Joe wrote that bill. And I know Joe, and I've worked with Joe personally. I have a lot of respect and admiration for the man. We went to his office. He told us in no uncertain terms, when we told him that we had concerns about this president, he stated he would be the voice of law enforcement. Well, that voice has been silent as well. So this isn't just a Obama problem. This is an administration problem. And going up as far as the Attorney General Holder, I mean, he's been nothing more than a puppet for this administration. And in all due respect to Joe, his silence has been a real hindrance.
Now he's been replaced by someone who has made statements on behalf of law enforcement, although I know that...
She has.
Yeah, I know that law enforcement hasn't been satisfied. I want to ask you this. Is this a partisan thing for you? I mean, do you dislike President Obama for political reasons?
Well, it's funny you say that, Megyn. Most labor unions in this country, if you have a D at the end of your name, they endorse you. The New England Police Benevolent Association has not had that rhetoric. We've endorsed both sides of the aisle. As a matter of fact, in Massachusetts, we endorsed Charlie Baker and Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, who are both Republicans. We endorsed the governor from New Hampshire, who happens to be a Democrat. We've endorsed.
So it's about protecting cops.
Senator Scott Brown.
It's about police lives.
We endorse the people who are supportive of us. And this isn't about personalities. This isn't about anything other than protecting those who protect and serve this country. And
Understood.
Quite frankly, we're appalled at what the Massachusetts AFL-CIO has said in response to our boycott. And there's no place in today's society to have the President of the United States, who is probably the most prolific speaker in the last 20 years, to remain silent.
Jerry Flynn, thank you for being here, sir. We appreciate it. Well, there was also big news from Baltimore today after the city announced a proposed settlement of $6.4 million to the Freddie Gray family. Gray, of course, the man who died in police custody near the end of April. The announcement comes just weeks before the criminal trial for the 6 officers charged in his death. And according to the mayor, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, the agreement should, quote, not be interpreted as a judgment on the guilt or innocence of the officers facing trial. And that's not all she said. Mark Eiglarz is with me now. He's a criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. Arthur Aidala is a New York trial attorney and a Fox News contributor. She went on to say, this avoids costly, protracted litigation that would only make it more difficult for our city to heal. Mark, your thoughts?
Megan, I tried cases for a living. Jurors rarely believe in the presumption of innocence. They think if they're sitting there and they must have done something. This fact that they're going to hear that the city paid out $6.4 million, which, by the way, just to put it in perspective, since 2011, there's been 120 police brutality lawsuits that have been settled. The total amount, if you add all those up, all those settlements, you don't get to $6.4 million.
Wow.
So these jurors heard about this settlement. They're going to believe erroneously that they must have done something wrong. It's going to be a nightmare for jury selection.
This has got to set some sort of a record, Arthur, for settlement of a civil suit in a case like this, well before the criminal trial.
Real quick, there's a couple of facts here. First of all, Megan, no civil case was ever brought. They're settling before a case has even been brought, that's insane, number one. Number two, in that particular state, on these types of cases, there is a cap. It used to be $200,000, it's $400,000. A similar case went to trial. The jury awarded $11 million, and the Court of Appeals, the highest court of Maryland, knocked it down to $400,000. And the last fact I want to point out is this past April, an individual who got shot and killed by the police, his settlement was $175,000. So the message is, if someone in your family gets hurt by the police, start a riot, start chaos, and your whole family will have multiple generational wealth.
Well, that's
it's
the
insane.
irony here, because there is an allegation in the criminal case that you all know we're going to hear more about when that case goes to trial, that Freddie Gray was a person who was trying to injure himself and had done so in the past, allegedly possibly to get a civil settlement against the cops, or there was an allegation that he didn't want to be seen as a snitch, which they said he was, so he tried to act out to sort of show how upset he was that he was being arrested, what have you. But the point is, Mark, the city did have a leg to stand on when it came to its defense.
Well, apparently not. They gave in to this. Again, there's only been 6 settlements over $200,000 since 2011. That's number one. But number two, apparently the message to the jurors is that this wasn't a self-inflicted injury, because why else would they pay?
What about the testimony of Donta Allen, who was in the van with Freddie Gray, who said it sounded like he was trying to hurt himself? You would think the city would like to save itself millions of dollars and at least argue that case before they paid it out, Arthur.
And, Megan, how about the fact how quickly this took place? You know the civil system. Cases never get settled in 5 months. Not of this magnitude. There's an investigation.
Never.
There's discovery.
Does this get brought into evidence, Arthur, in the criminal case?
No.
Or jurors just know about it through media?
No.
That's it.
The second one. Jurors just know about it from media. Megan, what I would like to know is, did the city attorneys sit down with the prosecutors? Did they talk about the evidence? Did they see, is the city really at fault? If I'm a citizen of Baltimore who's a tax-paying citizen, I'm going through the roof. You know how many kids you could feed lunch to with $6.4 million? Fine, maybe it's $1 million case. Maybe it's a $750,000 case. But it's not a $6.4 million case.
Yes, the mayor wants the city to heal. She wants the city to heal.
But Megan, unless there's 6 guilty verdicts, the city is going to burn. That's the problem.
That is the problem.
That's the problem.
Listen,
they're not buying insurance right now.
I want to tell the viewers
not.
right now that Mark and Arthur, they'll be back on Thursday night because we expect big news, and we've got them.
Well, now I know what I'm doing Thursday. How about you, Mark?
You're going to be right here, along with our viewers. All right.